But I'm going to welcome up to the stage first Tom Weitzel, who will be interviewing Joe Mascolo.
As Joseph takes his chair, we should begin this interview with him with a phrase that I think we can all finish. Like sands through an hourglass, so the days of our lives. The days of this man's life, his professional life anyway, are filled with kidnapping, brainwashing, art forgery, and who knows what else.
Such fun. I
know. When it comes to villainy, nobody does it better than Stefano Demara, and we are fortunate to have Joseph here to tell us how the Phoenix ticks and how the days of our lives continue. So, Joseph.
What?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to interrupt you right now.
All right.
Being a bad guy, you get away with all kinds of stuff. This is a lovely, lovely crowd, and I think you should be proud of it. Even more proud for the reason that you're here. And I was just thinking that maybe if you could at least have half more of this crowd next year, I'll bring a couple of my gangsters up here with me. Never mind him up there with his little shirt. I beat him up every day. But it would be wonderful to see this double because you are here for such a good cause. Thank you.
You know, I started by mentioning things like brainwashing and kidnapping. Give us a sense of some of the other highlights in your villainy on Days of Our Lives.
Well, holy mackerel. I live in a mansion, and underneath this mansion I have all kinds of alleys and dugouts and things. So I put people there and I change their looks and their intentions in life. It's unbelievable power. Thank God I'm normal enough to leave the studio without believing any of it.
Remind our audience just how long you have been with the show.
Let me see. On and off, I would say over 20-odd years, I guess, something like that. Sometimes when it gets too stupid, I leave and go do a play. But it doesn't happen usually because I must say, when you stop to think about a television program that's been on the air, I mean, that's on 375 days a year. I mean, what are there? Basically 7 stories in our lives, and they have to come up with something to keep it alive for that long. And it's been on the air for 45 years. Anything on television for 45 years deserves some kind of a credit.
And that as time goes by, that is more and more of an amazing feat. We've seen in just the last couple of months the demise of a couple of soap operas. So as I get my ad libs,
that has my name on it.
It does,
Okay.
And I spelled it right. What do you think the secret is of Day's continuing success? I mean, how does the show succeed in this exceedingly difficult market?
Well, again, it's back down to the stories and the characters that are involved. And I think that they're fortunate enough to have characters that people have been able to relate to, and in that relationship is what keeps it going, really. I mean, I get mail and calls from people who keep telling me about how they started watching the program with their grandmother, and then it was their mother, and so it's been around along. And it's a fantasy, and it's part of their life, and I think that's what keeps it going, essentially.
Your road, your professional road, began in quite a different direction. I think that our audience would be interested in finding out. Your first vocation was not to be an actor, correct?
No, I actually, when in college, I was on a scholarship for classical music. I was going to conduct opera, and music, classical music was my whole life at the time, yes.
And as a young musician, you became, well, actually, I digress. I think that some of the audience might be surprised to hear you speak, and you don't have an Italian accent.
It's fake, obviously.
Well, that's why they call it. That's why they call it acting, right?
I speak the language a little bit, but when we first started, the woman that invented Stefano was Pat Falcon Smith. She was a brilliant writer, and she has since passed away, which is really sad. But when we got together, she suggested that this character would probably be from Europe. So I said, well, why don't I use an accent? And she said, if you can do it, let's do it. And so I did, and I've been doing that. And so now people meet me in an airport or something, and they look at me real weird and say, you don't talk funny. And I said, well, no. And then they want to know where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from Connecticut, and they want to know before that. No, before Connecticut. I said Connecticut. Before Connecticut. Okay. And so that's what it's about. And
yet you, at one point in your career as a musician, became very close to another Italian, a famous tenor. Tell us how you met Luciano.
You know his name?
I do. Luciano Pavarotti.
Yes.
Yes.
It was, it's very funny because, first of all, I mean, I was playing in the pit there, and the orchestra was the first time he ever sang in the United States. And when I heard his voice, I mean, great music, great voices turn me as a tough guy into tears. I don't know why, but it just makes me cry. And then he and I did a movie together up here in the wine country. And it was amazing. When we first met, I walked up to him and he said, ah, because my voice was a little lower than his, and he said, you sing? I said, no, you sing, I act. That's the big difference. And we became very, very good friends. That he passed away is one of the horrors in life for me. I mean, a great voice like that only comes every once in a while.
I have to say that if you have not had a chance to at least look at the lovely coffee table book about Days of Our Lives, you will see the blueprint for the DeMara Mansion, among other things.
Uh-huh.
And you see these people in a way that we don't often see them. It is a real behind-the-scenes look. And what is it like behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes is a lot of hard work, is what it really is. When you stop to think that you have so many people and there's so many different stories, and you get in there early in the morning and you go late at night, except now because of budget things and everything else, we at least don't work later than 6 o'clock. But everybody has homework to do about their character, and they all represent one particular era of life, and that's really essentially what it is. And I gather that the audience lets us know. They write, they call, do all these silly little machines that you have now, and let us know how they feel. And even when they disagree, which is fine, they're willing to stick with it. And I think that's the reason why this show has gone on so long.
Well, it is a pleasure to talk to you this afternoon. My wife and I had the opportunity to speak with you at length last evening, and I just, on behalf of Calm, I want to say thank you to you and the people of Days of Our Lives.
Whoa, thank you for being here. And let me say that the reason that you're here is really wonderful. And don't stop. And if we can double this audience next year, as I said, I'll bring a bunch of gangsters up here and we'll have some fun.
Joseph Mascolo.
Thank you.